Hi students, in this lesson we are going to learn about two very important ideas in physics, momentum and impulse. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain what momentum means, why mass and velocity both matter, how force and time affect a change in momentum, and how to solve impulse and momentum problems using equations. Let's begin with a few everyday questions. So look at the first question. Which is more dangerous, a truck resting in a parking lot or a moving truck? So, as you can all see, moving truck has some velocity associated with it, but truck resting in a parking lot has zero velocity. And of course, both the trucks have the mass. So, it has some mass m, it has some mass m, but in the first case, velocity is zero, but moving truck is moving with some velocity. So, of course, this moving truck is going to be more impactful. So let's see the other question. What is more dangerous, a bullet at rest or a bullet fired from a gun? So a bullet at rest is not moving, so it has no motion. But when it is fired, it moves with a very high velocity. Even though its mass is small, its velocity is very large, so it can have a very large impact. So we can write bullet from a fired gun is more impactful or would be more dangerous because it is moving with high velocity as compared to the bullet at rest for which velocity is zero. Now look at the third question. Which has a greater impact, a fast moving table tennis ball or a fast moving cricket ball? So, as you know, table tennis ball has less mass as compared to the cricket ball. So, cricket ball is going to be more impactful. So, in this case, what's the distinguishing feature? It's mass. So, fast moving table tennis ball is less impactful, but this is going to be more dangerous because mass is greater for this cricket ball. So, what do these examples suggest? So, this suggests that impact depends on mass and velocity. Now, in physics, when we combine mass and velocity together, we get a quantity called momentum. So, momentum tells us how much motion an object has. So, the impact produced by an object depends on its mass and its velocity, and together it gives rise to a new physical quantity which is called as momentum, which is the quantity of motion of an object. It depends on mass and velocity. So, first important point about momentum is it's a vector quantity, and we can write P equals m times v. So, P is momentum and v is velocity, mass m is mass of an object, and its direction is going to be same as the direction of velocity. If the direction of velocity is south, so the direction of momentum of an object would also be south, same as the direction of velocity. So this is the mathematical relation P vector equals mv vector. Second important point about momentum is its unit. So we can write its unit. As we know, P equals product of mass and velocity. We know the unit of mass, which is kg, and we know the unit of velocity, which is meters per second. So we can write unit of momentum is kg meters per second. This is unit. Now let's connect momentum with force. Any object with momentum can be hard to stop. Like a fast moving cricket ball is harder to stop, a moving truck is much harder to stop. So the more momentum an object has, the harder it is to stop. To stop an object, we should apply a force. And in which direction we should apply a force? Opposite to its motion. For example, if a ball is moving towards your hands apply a force opposite to the motion of the ball, and its velocity will change, and hence the momentum will change. So you see the connection. Like, let's take another example. If a car is moving forward and the brakes are applied, the braking force acts opposite to the motion of the car, and that braking force will change the velocity. And since velocity is changed, so the momentum will also change. So force applied over some time will change the momentum of an object. That's the relation between momentum and the force. So let's say an object has a momentum. So any object that has momentum would require a force to stop. So a force is needed to stop that, to stop the object. And in which direction the forces should apply? the direction of the force should be opposite to the motion. So force acts opposite to the motion. And whenever the force is applying opposite to the motion, it will change the momentum. But of course, force should apply for some time. Force is applied over some time, and once the force is applied over some time, momentum changes. Momentum of the object will change, and then what would be the final outcome? The object will slow down or stop. Will stop or slow down. So this is the relation between force, momentum. Now, let's think about a simple situation. Imagine a car with a dead battery. So the car needs to be pushed along a straight road so that it reaches a small speed, maybe about 1 meters per second, enough to help start the engine. So if one or two people give the car a quick sudden push, the car may barely start moving. The force is applied, but only for the short time. But if people continue pushing the car for a longer time, here you have to notice this longer time, the car gradually speeds up. So this tells us something important. The change in momentum does not depend only on the size of the force. It also depends on how long the force acts. So a large force for a short time can change momentum. A smaller force for the longer time can also change the momentum. So what is our conclusion? Change of momentum is determined by two factors: magnitude of force and time during which the force acts. So we can write change in momentum depends on two factors. So we can write change in momentum depends on two factors. First, the magnitude of force, and the other factor is the time for which the force is applied. So we can write time duration for which the force is applied. These are the two factors which are required for change in momentum. Now, this leads us to our next key term, which is impulse. So, impulse is the product of force and time that acts on an object to produce a change in momentum. So, we can see F delta t, which is impulse, is also equal to change in momentum. So, change in momentum is a vector quantity. So, impulse is also a vector quantity. So, impulse is a vector, its direction is same as that of the net force, and its SI unit is Newton second, equivalent to kg meters per second, which is the unit of moment. Now, there's one important thing that we should write here. Since impulse equation is F delta P equals delta P, this is impulse. We can also write F delta T equals delta P is change in momentum. And we have noticed earlier that P equals M times V. And if we'll just write in terms of magnitude, so P equals M times V. Now, delta P means change in momentum. So we can write final momentum minus initial momentum. So for final momentum, we are going to write mass multiplied by final velocity. And for initial momentum, we are going to write mass multiplied by initial velocity. Since mass is common, we can put it in the bracket and we can take mass outside the bracket. So we can condense this equation as mass times Vf minus Vi. So this is another working equation that we can use for impulse. F delta t equals m multiplied by Vf minus Vi. This represents the right hand side of the equation represents delta p, which is change in momentum. Now let's see an example So, have you ever noticed that when a fielder catches a fast moving cricket ball, the fielder often pulls the hands backwards with the moving ball? So, why does the fielder do that? So, the answer is the ball is moving quickly, so it has momentum. When the fielder catches the ball's momentum must decrease to zero. That means there would be change in momentum. So, this change in momentum happens because the fielder's hands apply a force to the ball. Now, here is the important part. If the fielder stops the ball suddenly, the stopping time is very small. So, if the time is very small, the force is large, and that large force can hurt the fielder's palm. But when the fielders but when the fielder pulls the hands backward, the stopping time increases. The ball still comes to rest, so the change in momentum is the same, but the time is longer. Since the time is longer, the force is smaller. So pulling the hands backward reduces the force on the hands. So we can write F delta P equals delta P. So this F equals delta P over delta T. So now you can see force depends on momentum and change in time. So by doing this, by pulling the hands backward, the fielder is increasing this time factor. So as you can see, this time factor increases, force will decrease. So this is the main idea behind impulse. For the same change in momentum, increasing the time reduces the force. This idea is used in many real life safety examples. Airbags increase the time taken for a person to slow down during a collision. Cushioned mats increase the time taken to stop a falling person. Helmets increase the stopping time during an impact. So there are several real life examples based on this concept of impulse. Now let's solve some worked problem based on impulse and average force. So the first problem is a 0.160 kg puck is traveling at 5 meters per second north. A slapshot produces a collision lasting 0.002 seconds and gives the puck a velocity of 40 meters per second south. Calculate the impulse imparted by the hockey stick, and then we have to determine the average force applied by the stick to the puck. Now, first we have to write what is given. So mass of the puck is given to us, which is 0.160 kg and is traveling at 5 meters per second north. So this is the initial velocity, which is also given 5 meters per second north. A slapshot produces a collision lasting this second. So delta t, or the change in time, is given, which is 0.02 seconds, and gives the puck a velocity of 40 meters per second. So final velocity is also given, which is 40.0 meters per second, but the direction is south. Now we have to calculate the impulse imparted by the hockey stick. So we should write first the direction convention. So let's follow the Cartesian convention. So I'm taking south as negative and I'm taking north as positive. So which will make Vi equals plus 5 and Vf equals minus 40 meters per second. And this also plus 5 meters per second. So plus 5 meters per second and Vf is minus 40 meters per second. Now we will calculate the change in momentum for this, which is delta P. So we can write M in bracket Vf minus Vi. So this is change in momentum. So we will write mass as 0.160 kg multiplied by Vf, which is minus 40, minus Vi, which is 5. So on solving this, we will get, you can also solve this using the calculator. So we will get minus 7.2 kg meters per second. This is the change in momentum. And since we know minus represents the south direction, we can also write this as minus 7.2 south kg meters per second. Then we will state impulse. What is impulse? It is change in momentum. So we can just write impulses change in momentum, which is F delta T equals delta P. And we have already calculated delta P, which is 7.2 south. So we can write this implies F delta T impulse equals 7.2 south. Now we can write calculate average force. So for that, I will leave the force here, and delta t will be divided both the sides. Since we are given with delta t, that is 0.002 seconds. I will plug in the value and then I'm going to solve it. So 7.2 divided by 0.002 will give us 3600, and the direction is south. So it is 3600 newtons south. So what's the final answer? We can write the average forces. So first, impulses. We have already calculated impulse. So impulses 7.2, and the direction is south. And then we have average force, which is 3600 newton, and again the direction is same as that of impulse, which is south. Now let's move on to worked problem 2, which is based on contact time and final speed. So the question is, a 260-gram volleyball comes to rest at its maximum height. The server then hits it and exerts an average horizontal force of 6.5 newton. A part, determine the speed of the ball after the player hits it if the average force is exerted for 615 milliseconds, and determine the speed of the ball after the player hits it if the average force is exerted for 875 milliseconds. So first of all, we should write the given quantities. So we are given with the mass of the ball, which is 260 grams. So first we are going to convert this into kgs by dividing it with 1000. We will get 0.260 kgs. Then the other thing that is given to us is force, average force. So F average is given to you as 6.5 newtons. So the magnitude of F average or the force is given to you. Now we are required to determine the speed of the ball after the player hits it if the average force is exerted for this time. So delta T is given, which is 615 milliseconds. Now since it is in milliseconds, we need to convert it into seconds, and we will multiply this with 10 raised to the power negative 3, and it will be this amount of seconds. So there is an important information which is given in the question, which is a 260-gram volleyball comes to rest at its maximum height, and then the server hits it and exerts an average horizontal force. And so it means, comes to rest means velocity is zero. Which velocity is zero? Initial velocity is given to us, which is zero. So in the given quantity, we can write vi is zero. Solve part A by substituting the values, and let's solve for speed. So I will write F 6.5 times delta T, which is 615 multiplied by 10 raised to the power negative 3. Or I can solve this here. 615 times 10 raised to the power negative 3 is 0.615. So it is easy to write over here. So we will write 0.615 equals, mass is also given to us, which is 0.26 kgs, multiplied by Vf minus Vi is 0. So on solving this, since Vf minus 0 is Vf, so it will be 0.260 Vf, and 6.5 multiplied by 0.615. On rearranging, we will get Vf as, you can also solve using the calculator, it would be 15 meters per second. So for part A, we will get the speed 15 meters per second. For part B, again, we have to substitute the values. In this case, the only thing that will change would be time. So it would be 6.5 times. Now the time for part B is 875 minutes. It would be 875 milliseconds. And we can write this as 0.875 seconds. Now on substituting, I will write 0.875 here equals 0.260, again Vf minus 0, and on rearranging the equation, I will get Vf as 22 meters per second. So let's compare. The longer contact time gives the volleyball a greater impulse, so the final speed is greater. So here you can see if it was less time, 615 millisecond, we got final velocity as 15 meters per second. But if we have 875 milliseconds, you see the duration of time has been increased, so the velocity is 22 meters per second. So the impulse is greater. So the longer contact time will give you greater impulse.